Well, hello, builders of good. Thank you for tuning in to the Build Good Fundraising podcast. Fundraising isn't easy, but it should be simple. So, on this show, we take the mystery out of raising money. Now, on every episode, we coach you to build your fundraising like a flywheel. The flywheel has 5 parts. Number 1 is listening to donors. Number 2 is engaging them. Number 3 is asking the right people for the right things. Number 4 is celebrating every gift at every level. And number 5 is reporting back in a real-time and responsive way. If you master the 5 parts of the flywheel, your fundraising flywheel will start to spin reliably with less effort on your part. Your revenue will grow, and so will your career. Now, every week we focus on one part of the flywheel. Today, we are kind of focusing on an event that is going to bring the flywheel to life, and that is the BuildGood Summit. Joining me today, special guest, Hannah Mormon, the senior fundraising strategist at BuildGood. Hey, Hannah.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to hear how we'll be physically bringing a flywheel to life in Toronto, but yeah, not nervous about managing that at all.
Maybe like a giant flywheel installation.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Tiffany, if you're listening to this is a good test to see if our operations lead, Tiffany, listens to the podcast. She'll message us and say, "What's this now about a flywheel installation?"
Yeah, do we have to get a permit for that? Well, let's get right into it. We are launching the Build Good Summit. We've talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but not a whole lot. You are here to swap spots with me. You're going to become the host of the podcast. So I'm going to hand you the reins of this thing, and you're going to lead us through just a fireside chat about what the summit is, what people can expect, and why we would love to have you in the room.
That's perfect. I'm happy to do that. Do you want to tell people why they should stick around to the end of the podcast?
If you stick around to the end of the podcast, there is a little reward, which is a discount promo code for you, for the podcast listener, for to reward you for your loyal listenership. And because we really want to have you at the summit. If you're listening to this podcast, it means that you're our kind of people, and we'd love to hang out with you.
Very cool. Okay, let's sit by the fire. I have a
All right.
fireplace in my front room that you know, so let's just pretend we're sitting beside there, sipping some coffee. So let's just start with the most obvious question, which is like, what is the Build Good Summit?
Build Good Summit is 2 days of fundraising, innovation, and inspiration. 2 days of getting together with other fundraisers. It's a conference where we've asked a lot of frontline fundraisers to share what is working for them at the moment. We've asked some of the most forward-thinking fundraisers and charities to come and share with the rest of the world. No gatekeeping. Let us into your secrets. Show us what you're working on. And most of all, it's a chance for fundraisers to get together and to have a little bit of fun, build a bit of community, talk shop, feel like you're not alone. You know, other people who understand what it is that you do at family dinner, Thanksgiving dinner. Maybe they're like, "Hey, are you still doing that nonprofit thing? What is that?"
Yeah, what's it like to never get paid?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's what it is. We've done it once. We did it once 2 years ago, and it was kind
Okay.
of small, right? Like we started very small,
Yeah.
and it was so good that we've decided to do it again, but to do it at a slightly bigger scale.
That's very exciting. Yeah, I have very fond memories of when we did it in 2023. It was my first time being with the Build Good staff and seeing it was very fun. Let me ask another really obvious question, and I'll be like all the people who will respond to your emails that you've sent promoting the summit. When is this taking place and where is this happening?
Right. Yeah. Let's not forget about those details. It's happening May 22nd and the 23rd in downtown Toronto, Canada.
Ooh.
It'll be spring. It will be spring-ish. The city will be vibrant. It's one of the most multicultural cities in the world. It's the most multicultural and diverse city in North America. very fun city to be in the summer, and very accessible from anywhere.
That's very exciting. You know that when Toronto gets mentioned, I have to mention that I lived there for 5 years, right?
I've heard, yeah, I've heard stories of your youth
Yeah.
going to
I know
college in
you're
Toronto and places of meaning that you want the whole team to go to, and that we've rejected multiple times.
it's a Hannah pilgrimage tour, but we're not doing this because it's the Hannah pilgrimage tour. We're doing this because fundraisers deserve a place to gather, to break bread
Mhm.
together, to kind of walk through what's working in the sector and what's not. But tell me more about why is Build Good putting this on?
So I haven't talked about it much on the podcast. I actually I love AI. I love everything that AI has made possible.
Very true.
Um, and AI at the moment is like the worst it's ever going to be, and it's already pretty awesome. However, we're very, very, very bullish on anything anti-AI. Anything that is human, anything that is in person, anything that AI can't do, we're just over-indexing on
Yeah.
because we think it's going to be a great way for nonprofits and also us to go forward in the world. When everything becomes AI, the least AI thing you can do is get together in person. So that's one of the reasons is we're just gonna do more and more in-person stuff. We're gonna do more smaller in-person stuff as well. We've got some smaller events on the roadmap for the future as well. So
Mhm.
that's a big reason is the human connection that maybe some of us are yearning for and longing for a little bit more. Some of us are wondering if everything we see on LinkedIn or online is that a real person? Did
Yeah.
they really write that? This email that I'm getting, did this person really write this? Right? Like
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. In that kind of age, I just think it's great to gather in person. It's
Yeah.
also there's also not a lot of events in Canada that are focused on fundraising innovation. There's lots of events in the US, and we go to some of them, but there isn't a whole lot of events in Canada. AFP Congress hasn't happened for a while. And that event wasn't hugely focused on innovation either. And so there's a bit of a space there where we think, hey, there's a space here where we can do something for Canadian fundraisers, but also, of course, invite anyone and everyone who wants to come. You don't have to be Canadian to come to this. Might
No,
be a good excuse for you to come and visit Canada. And yeah, those are the two big reasons.
that's very cool. Okay. What is so you're like kind of the chief tastemaker for the summit. So walk me through
Ooh.
like what's the vibe? Why are we making some of the choices that we're making? Take me
Yeah,
through
be right back. Got to go change my
LinkedIn bio
my
to
LinkedIn bio to Chief
chief
Tastemaker
tastemaker.
of the Build Good Summit.
I know that that's all you've been wanting someone to call you, so I'm really throwing you a bone here.
Yeah, what's the vibe? Last time we did the Build Good Summit, we created a good vibe almost by accident. Uh, and what I mean is, we didn't have the budget to do anything crazy or anything big. And so we didn't even have the budget to provide lunch. And
No.
we also priced it like we lost money on that event. We priced it very cheap. We wanted to get enough people in the room. And we filled out that room. That venue could only hold 110 people. So we lost a good amount of money on that event. But what ended up happening is because the venue was right beside this very cool place on the river that had a big like outdoor food court. When we looked at the feedback, all the feedback was like, I love how laid back it was. I love how it felt like a real community vibe. I love that we could all grab lunch together and sit by the river. So we almost created this like community vibe because we didn't have the money to create a big show.
Oh, there's so many lessons to take from that.
Right. And so following our own advice of the flywheel, we listened to all the feedback from last time. We also talked to a bunch of fundraisers across Canada to see what they would want to see in an event like this. And so the vibe of this summit is very, very much hands-on experiential learning,
Mm,
smaller workshops that are very much geared at less somebody from the front just talking at you for an entire day, a lot more facilitation, a
mm,
lot more working together in smaller groups in workshops to
yeah.
solve a problem, and a lot of like a lot less, here's what you should do. We're not going to should anyone. It's a lot more of like, here's an actual thing that we've tried.
Hmm.
Here's why we wanted to try it. Here's what our hypothesis was. Here's the real numbers. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't work. Here's what we learned. Here's
Yeah.
some insights we have. Maybe that will give you an idea to take back to your shop. That's the vibe. It's completely in person. What happens at the Build Good Summit stays at the Build Good Summit. There's no live stream. Unfortunately, people can't join us online. That's not to exclude anyone. It's just to be like, this is a decidedly in person community event.
Yeah.
And it's designed for that. And if we had to also think about what works on a live stream, I think we would miss some of the like what's going to work in person and what's the most hands-on two-way conversation type thing that we can create.
Hmm. When you say it happens at the what happens at the Build Good Summit stays at the Build Good Summit. The
Uh-huh.
ideas you take with you, but it's just that it's solely in person. We're not going to have live stream stuff. It's just you take the ideas back. You take the friendships, you take the memories, the tan lines.
The
Well, no,
friendship bracelets. Yeah.
the friendship bracelets. Exactly.
Is there going to be
Yeah.
a friendship bracelet making station?
Again, if I have my way, and note everyone, I'm not the chief taste maker, but if I get my way, there will be a friendship bracelet making booth. Again,
Yeah.
feel free to message us on LinkedIn if you think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and we've thought about the in-person stuff. We also partially why we picked Toronto is because it's a very multicultural city and there's lots to do and it would be great for people to also add a day or two
Yeah.
and just have fun in the city. But also it is a very accessible airport and city and the venue is super accessible by by train, by public transport and also for disability purposes.
Yeah.
So if you live in Vancouver, you can be in Toronto in 4 hours. If you live in Texas, you can be in Toronto in 3 hours.
Yeah.
If you live in like, I don't know, St. John, New Brunswick, if you live on the east coast of Canada, you can be in Toronto in 2 hours. This is a super easy place to get to with
Yeah.
with daily nonstop flights.
Yeah.
It's easy to find accommodation, and the venue is very easy to get to by public transport.
Yeah. What's also exciting is that if you're from Hamilton, Ontario, it will also take you 4 hours to get to Toronto.
If you're
But
driving. Yeah. Yeah. Little Ontario joke.
for those Ontario listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back to what you were mentioning about the Build Good Summit itself, one of my favorite presentations from the first Build Good Summit was you interviewing Brad, longtime listener of the pod, about how you grew MCC's fundraising program and how that running the flywheel at MCC began. I remember sitting there thinking, Mike, don't get mad at me for saying this publicly. I remember thinking, wow, I wish I wasn't working for Build Good right now, because if I was still at my last organization, I'd be stealing like 10 of these ideas and implementing them immediately when I go back. And so that's the kind of stuff that awaits. It's not just like, oh, here's a high level idea for you to maybe follow along with, but it's like actionable things people have done in their fundraising that make a meaningful difference in their overall revenue.
Yeah, this is the no gatekeeping thing. This is like you're
Yeah.
gonna see it all. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
consultants like opening up a problem and then like, haha, if you want to know the answer, you got to work with me. That
Yeah.
is that is not the vibe whatsoever. This is real case study, real numbers, real learnings, real insights. Um, yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so we've walked through the vibe. Is there a theme, like one area of the flywheel that we'll be focusing on, one area of fundraising that we're focusing on?
No, there's no theme.
Okay.
Do you want me to say more about that?
No, I'd like you to just leave it at no theme and I can go on to the next question.
I mean, typically conferences have a theme. It's like raise more, or like when they try to combine two words, like innovify, or typically they're supposed to be like a really, really lofty sort of theme. The theme is we're gonna just look at what is working. We're just gonna look at what's working in the last year or two. A lot of things have changed. Everybody had a big COVID bump. Revenue was awesome in 2021 and 2022. a lot of files normalized in 23 and 24. A lot of organizations lost a ton of donors in the last 2 years that they
Mm.
acquired during COVID. And then a few things have changed. Certainly, the donor behavior in terms of channels has changed a little bit. So we're just going to look at, hey, what has been working for the last 2 years? What have we tried? What have we tested? What seems to be working? That's the theme. The theme is real case studies, real numbers, real learnings, real insights, real, real, real. No gatekeeping
I was gonna
and
say, so the theme is real,
real, real, real.
real, real, real.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, that's very exciting. Who are some of the people we can expect to see at the summit talking about the real, real, real?
Hey, we'll be right back. But before we do, are you struggling to grow your revenue? Are you kind of feeling stuck and like everything you're doing maybe isn't quite working the way that you wanted it to? Well, fear not, because you're not alone. And maybe all you need is to be among your people and get some ideas from what is working for other frontline fundraisers right now. That's why we're putting on the Build Good Summit. It's happening May 22 to 23, 2025 in downtown Toronto. You're going to gather with other frontline fundraisers who are going to show you exactly what they're working on, what is working for them, what they've tried that didn't work, why they failed, what they learned from it. You're going to go behind the scenes of organizations like UNHCR, Charity Water, Amnesty. They're going to show you everything that they've been testing and they've been learning. So you can go back to your shop with some fresh ideas and a lot of inspiration, and you'll have made a ton of new friends. Go to buildgoodsummit.com right now to secure your spot. There's only about 350 seats available. We want to make this a highly experiential learning experience for you. Get your tickets now before they're gone. So go to buildgoodsummit.com, and I would love to see you there. All right, back to the pod.
Who are some of the people we can expect to see at the summit talking about the real, real, real?
I'll share with you how we pick the speakers first, if that's cool by you.
Yeah, go for it.
So, again, back to the flywheel. We started by listening and engaging, and we just finished up a project with a few charities across Canada. Some very big charities, like names you would recognize, like charities that are raising 70, 80, 90 million dollars, and then some
Mm.
tiny charities that are raising like 1, 2, 3, 4, $5 million.
Okay.
And we asked them a bunch of questions in terms of their fundraising, how confident they feel about their fundraising, things like that. And new donor acquisition, 90% of nonprofits across the board identified new donor acquisition as their main fundraising challenge. So everyone is trying to figure that out. It's become a lot harder. It's become a lot more expensive over the years to acquire new donors. We're seeing in digital advertising, we're seeing the return on ad spend drop quite a bit. It's harder to get a new donor. On mail, it's been harder and harder and harder for years already to
Years.
acquire new
Yeah.
donors. We are still very bullish on small events or like events done right, but even that, the payback period can be hard to calculate
Yeah.
and the true cost can be hard to calculate. So 90% of nonprofits said, hey, new donor acquisition, our main challenge. Mid-level giving, 54% of nonprofits that we surveyed said that their program is only developing. So they've started
Mm.
thinking about mid-level, a few pieces are in place, but largely lacking in strategy. 31% said it's completely underdeveloped, there's not much happening, and only 15 said that they have an established mid-level donor program.
Mm.
Legacy giving, 35% of nonprofits we talked to said that it's developing, and 31% said it's underdeveloped, and only 23% said they have an established legacy giving program.
Okay.
And this was surprising to me, which is monthly giving.
Yeah.
53% said it's developing, as in we've got some
Interesting.
things in place, we're working at it, but we've got a long way to go and no real strategy.
Interesting.
23% said it's established, and only 7% said it's advanced. Advanced
Okay.
meaning we have a clear program, it's growing every year, we have a clear way to acquire new monthly donors, to retain new monthly donors, and to upgrade new monthly donors.
Yeah.
So those are the four big areas that we wanted to lean in, or we're going to lean into with the Build Good
Okay.
Summit. And so we chose some of the presentations and the speakers around new donor acquisition, mid-level
Cool.
giving, legacy giving, and monthly giving. So we've got Shirose Walji from UNHCR in Canada. She's
Okay.
going to talk about acquisition, and we're going to
Okay.
get into digital acquisition quite a bit. Christine Gilliland, who
Mm,
is a copy coach in the fundraising and Build Good's Fundraising Academy. She's
nice.
going to talk about philanthropic psychology, which applies to legacy and mid-level quite a bit. We've got friend of the pod, previous guest Hala Almadi from Amnesty International, and
Mm,
she's going to bring with her colleague Jessica Brodrib, and they're going to talk about the Amnesty Legacy Program. And she's got this beautiful way of thinking about it, which is growing a legacy garden and
mm,
planting, different efforts is like planting different flowers, and it takes a while for them to blossom and bloom.
nice.
Another friend of the pod, Ronen Tal from the Nature Conservancy, is going to talk to us about testing and optimizing and how you can test your way into some of these programs that are underdeveloped or that are developing. How can you use A/B testing to test your way into what might be a good strategy?
Yeah.
I'm very excited for UNICEF Canada to be there.
Ooh.
Victoria Mix Higginson, she's going to share how UNICEF created postcards from Paddington, which is their flagship monthly giving program. Super cool program.
Yeah.
It's aimed at engaging parents in Canada, parents with smaller children. So you sign up for a monthly gift along with your child, and every month you get postcards from around the world shipped to you from Paddington. And so you learn about a different country. You also learn about some of UNICEF's work in that country and how your monthly gift is making a difference there. Speaking of AI, another friend of the pod, Cherian Koshi, he built an AI tool that was a copywriting tool that he ended up actually selling. And
Mm,
so he's going to talk to us about ethical uses of AI in fundraising.
very
And
cool.
he's got some research that he's bringing around how donors are feeling about the AI of it all. We've got Nathan Hill, our partners from Next After. They're going to be there. And this is breaking news. This is just confirmed today. Lena Mohammed from the Canadian Cancer Society
Ooh.
is going to come and share 10 ways that they've been able to scale up digital advertising without dropping their return on ad spend. So typically, when you scale up advertising, the more you do, the less effective it becomes. There's a point of diminishing returns, and
Yeah.
so your return ad spend goes down. But they figured out some neat ways of maintaining a very healthy return on ad spend and scaling it up, which will be very interesting for anybody who's deploying paid ads in their fundraising to hear.
Yeah. I'm excited to listen to that one.
And then our team is going to be
What?
sharing a lot of stuff that we've been learning with clients,
Mm.
including um,
That's my drum roll.
some research that we're going to release. We're in the middle of doing this research involving 120 charities. We are doing kind of a complete, thorough mystery donor shopping analysis, and we're scoring organizations based on how they treat new donors in the first 90 days after the first gift. Are they listening to them? Are they engaging? Are they asking for feedback, for brain share? Are they asking for a second gift? Not that you necessarily should. We're just seeing what they do. And most importantly, are they like celebrating first-time donors' generosity? Are they thanking well? And are they reporting back to increase their chances of a new donor actually wanting to go a little bit deeper and maybe make a second gift or maybe stay involved somehow? So that research is in the works right now, and
Mm.
we will be releasing some of that at the BuildGood Summit.
Yeah. I'm excited. I feel like there's not a ton of like overarching research about the Canadian fundraising landscape. So I'm hopeful, as with much of what Build Good tries to do, that it'll be not gatekeepy research, sharing the best of what we learned. Um, I'm really, really excited for that.
Yeah. Michael Mitchell another friend of the pod,
Yeah.
and also the major gifts coach in BuildGood's Fundraising Academy. He's leading advancement at Feed the Children. He's going to share with us a little bit of how you bridge the gap between mass and major donor giving.
Very cool.
How the mass fuels the major, how a mid-level
Mm,
program can be that bridge.
yeah.
And we might do a little bit of a show and tell together based on some of the mid-level work that Build Good
Ooh,
is doing and some of our approaches. So that is also happening. And I should say, this is just the beginning. Didn't get into everyone here, but
yeah.
we're confirming a few more speakers and a few more organizations who have cool things to share.
Very cool. Oh, I'm very, very excited. So that's like a lot of the logistical stuff that we've covered, but say it's Friday afternoon, May 23rd, and somebody's walking out of the Mars Discovery
Mhm.
District. What are you hoping that they will be walking out kind of noodling on in their brain? What do you hope they'll get out of the Build Good Summit, essentially?
It's Friday afternoon. You finished your 2 days at the Build Good Summit. I hope you're so gassed up about fundraising that you wish it wasn't the weekend. I hope you're like, I can't wait for Monday morning to come around. I'm gonna put all my team in a room and I'm gonna tell them all 15 ideas that I have, and then they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell me, "Yo, slow down," and then we're gonna whittle it down to two or three new things that we can try. That is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping is gonna happen. I hope somebody walks away with so much inspiration and confidence that there's a lot more stuff that we could be trying and that we could be doing, and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily need more budget. It might just need us testing and trying a few things, and we can start small, and if it works, we can scale that up. So
Mm-hmm.
ideas and inspiration is number one. I hope that somebody walks out of this. If I reverse your question, I hope nobody walks out of it being like, oh man, I feel like there's so many things I should be doing and I'm not doing
Right.
any of them. Everybody just told me what I should be doing. I hope it's the opposite. I hope it's like I heard so many ideas that other people are doing that I can see us trying. I can see us trying some of these things. And I've got very concrete examples. I've seen real numbers and I've seen real failures. And so I get to take a bit of a shortcut. I can learn from other people's failure and I
Mm-hmm.
can start one step ahead. I also hope that people walk home, drive home, take the bus home, bike home that Friday, feeling like, oh, there's actually like at least 350 other people out there that know exactly what it feels like to be in my shoes. So I'm not alone. There's other fundraisers out there who are all facing the same challenges I am. They all feel just as passionate about the work. And maybe I connected with a ton of them over lunch or at a workshop and
Yeah.
over LinkedIn. And maybe I made a few new fundraising friends. Best case
Mm.
scenario, you make a few new fundraising buddies. Worst case scenario, you walk away with inspiration and you've got some ideas for
Yep.
what you may want to try next. So that's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping
Okay.
will happen.
I like it. I have this image in my mind. When I left the Build Good Summit last year, we went to the Winnipeg airport and met some buddies who were flying back to Toronto. And one of them was Justine, friend of Build Good. And
Hmm.
she had her laptop out and her Build Good notebook open beside her. And she was typing up all of her notes, ideas, and action items, which is very on brand for Justine. But I think that is like the exact picture of what you're looking for, that when you leave, you're so inspired that you
Yeah.
would work on some of these ideas and inspiration at your Winnipeg airport gate.
Yeah, and we want to see you there. If you're
Yeah.
listening to this, we would love to have you in the room. If you're still listening to this, then you're our kind of people. We're your kind of people. And we're kind of making this for you, right? We're crafting this for you. And we hope that it provides you with a ton of value.
Mike, if people are thinking, like, we haven't talked about cost at all for the summit,
Okay.
we teased the promo code at the beginning. But I'm just thinking, if you're
Yeah.
someone who's like a junior fundraiser, kind of new at an organization, how would you suggest they bring this to their leadership? Like, how do you convince the people at your organization that you should be going to the Build Good Summit?
So first of all, it's priced very affordably in a very accessible way. So for the 2 days, it's priced at 600 Canadian dollars. That gets you
Ooh.
the 2 full days of the conference. That is something like 420 US dollars. And if you've listened to the lineup, and if you go to buildgoodsummit.com and you look at the lineup, if you think this will help you raise an additional $420 over the next 12 months, then you've made back the investment of paying for the ticket for the conference. Uh, if you think it's going to help you raise an additional $4,200, now you've 10x'd your investment. If you think it can help you raise an additional $42,000 over the next 12 months, then you've 100x'd your investment. This is where the no public math rule of Build Good is coming
Mike,
into play.
you
I'm just
literally
going for it.
you took it out of my brain because I was like, if we get a message on this podcast that says, "Why are you doing public math?" I'm not going to have your back. You're on your own, kid.
If you think you can raise an additional $420,000, which I think for some organizations is entirely doable. If
Mm,
you think about, we're talking legacy giving, we're talking mid-level giving, and we're talking how mass marketing can support major giving. If you think you can raise an additional $500,000, you've 1,000x'd your return on coming to the Build Good Summit. So I would start there. I think it's great value. But I would also look at what else is there in Canada that you can go to. There's regional, and I'm not saying this in a competitive way whatsoever. There's regional AFP events which are very helpful. Um, there's uh, some AFP chapters have like a 1 day mini conference that they do, right? There's like the Ottawa Fundraising Day, and Calgary used to have AFP Compass. There's some of those that are very helpful. Then
yeah,
there's larger conferences in the US, but um, this is an incredible opportunity to hear from the most forward-thinking charities in Canada
yeah,
all in one room. It's an incredible opportunity for you to be in the room with some of the fundraisers who are doing like the most interesting work and thinking deeply about how to engage donors at a deeper level.
yeah.
So I just think this is one of those events where you're like, you have to ask yourself, do I want to miss this? Um,
Hmm.
because I don't want to miss it.
Yeah,
That's why, or I'm missing it. That's why we're creating it,
yeah,
is because we're literally creating the thing that we wish that we could go to, that we want to go to.
yeah. 1,000%. Plus, we have the flywheel installation, plus the friendship bracelets, plus whatever silly little things we committed to in this podcast. So we've got a lot going on.
The flywheel installation is not a promise, friends. That was a joke. Friendship bracelets, on the other hand, that I could see that becoming a real thing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
talk to me.
Real,
Yeah,
real, real.
real, real, real. The official theme. Okay, so we've teased it enough. What is the code if people want to get a little bit of a discount on their Build Good Summit tickets?
Yeah. If you're a listener of the pod, like I said, we want you in the room. If you go to buildgoodsummit.com and you buy tickets and you check out, if you use the promo code BG Podcast, all lowercase, one word, no hyphen, no periods, no nothing, BG Podcast, you get 15% off, which knocks the price down by about $90, I believe. This is the no
90,
public math
I was
that
going to
that
say
I'm not.
90 Canadian. You went with the US for the example earlier. I'm just trying to track what line of thinking we're going off here.
It's nine. I think it's 90 Canadian off of the 600 Canadian price.
Let me
Um,
just, I am going to do the math for a second, just quietly on my phone. It is $90 off of 600. So
$90. So that gets you I don't know, a couple of meals, a fun activity in the city, or saves your nonprofit $90 that can go towards something else.
yeah.
We'd love to have you. Uh, Come and say hello to the team. Come hang out with us. There's a fun social evening,
Mm,
and you can say that you were there for the second ever Build Good Summit. the year where it got where we started taking it seriously,
Where it was real, real, real.
where it was real,
Okay.
real, real.
Is there anything we didn't cover about the Build Good Summit that you want to make sure that you say? Anything that, yeah, you want our fundraising buddies to know?
If you can't make it to the Build Good Summit, I just want to thank you for having listened to the podcast so far and for being part of the Build Good community anyways. The summit is our mission at Build Good is to be a teaching hospital. Great teaching hospitals do two things. Number one is they take real good care of patients. And number two is they teach doctors. And so our mission as a teaching hospital is to take real good care of our clients and to be their best advocate, to put their best foot forward, and to build successful fundraising programs that make donors an important part of the team. But then we turn around and then we try to teach everything that we're learning in working with clients to anybody who wants to learn, frankly. And so this conference, the Build Good Summit, it's putting our mission statement into the world, into like a real, live, tangible experience. But it's not the only part of the teaching hospital. There's the podcast, there's the Build Good Fundraising Academy. There's stuff that I try to share on LinkedIn. If you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn yet, Mike Dirksen, I'd love to connect with you. So if you can't be in the room, thank you anyways for being part of this of this teaching hospital and this little community of builders of good that we're trying to build here.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool.
Well, that's all for today, Hannah. As always, thank you for hanging out with us around the fundraising campfire.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get notifications for the Build Good Summit or for when podcasts come out, or sometimes we share stuff with our email list that we don't share anywhere else. Sometimes we share little things that we're learning. Just go to buildgood.com. You can put in your email address in multiple places. It all takes you to the same place. And we'd love to have you do that as well and be part of Build Good that way. If you're listening to this, you're my kind of people. I'm your kind of people. Thank you for the work you do. I'm your host, Mike Dirksen, cheering you on as you do good in the world.